chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, hello, good morning to some. It all depends on where you're actually tuning in from. Maybe morning, it must be early good night to all of those, my UK fans and all of my friends over there. Welcome back to another Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands and Conversations of the World, the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. It is a pleasure to be back with you this evening. I'm your host, Sabrina, and I am so pleased today that this episode is brought to you in proud partnership with International Lighting, a Caymanian gem celebrating 39 years of lighting up our lives, literally and figuratively. So whether you're refreshing your home or adding a flair to your work wardrobe, they've got specials all week long on everything from bed and bag sets to those Turkish rugs. Those area rugs are directly from Turkey, to indoor and outdoor lighting, also bathroom accessories, and even neon colored polos and tees, those t-shirts. So visit them at Ed's Plaza. Yes, it's Ed's Plaza, 194 North Sound Road, and their hours of operations are Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or give them a call, 345-949-8211 or 345-949-5154. This episode of Sabrina Speaks this evening, again, we're just so happy for this joint partnership. But today's episode explores the realities of human papillomavirus, and you're going to know it as HPV. And just let me get my people over here on Instagram sorted out. So give me 1 second, because I want all of you to be a part of today's show and let you know what's going on. Hold on 1 second. Just let me get my little people here. There we go. Yep. Okay. Instagram folks, you're good. You're good to go. So yeah, I'm going to be very candid this afternoon on this solo show, because I intend to explore the realities of the human papilloma virus. And I'm going to deliberately call it HPV, because you can hear that's a mouthful, and I'm good at slaughtering certain things. So I'm going to go in depth with each of you this afternoon, including its transmission, the health impacts, and the cultural taboos that often silence vital conversations. And to be honest with you, we discuss topics such as sexual health, cancer prevention, and personal experiences. We do that all the time. And that may be emotionally triggering for some listeners this afternoon. But while the content is rooted, and I want to repeat this, while this content this evening will be rooted in public health education and myth busting, it may, and I understand this, it may evoke discomfort or strong emotions in some people. So please, I'm asking you to join in the conversation if you so desire. by your calls, your comments here on the various social media platforms, and listen with care and even take breaks if you need. Maybe there are certain things that I will bring up here this evening that it makes you flashback. Take a break if you need. But my sole goal is to foster informed dialogue, reduce stigma, and empower each and every one of us with resources to protect your health and advocate for others. So, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, or participants, is intended solely for general information and entertainment purposes, despite this being a very sober conversation. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. And Sabrina Speaks disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here this evening. But don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss one episode, because we're streaming live on all CMR, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram platforms. And you can also follow me as well on YouTube. That's at Sabrina Speaks, the number 12. And on Facebook, just search for Sabrina Turner. You'll see community activists. Click it. Click the follow button. So yeah, how's everybody doing? It's hump day. You made it. We've made it. And let's see who is early to really, before we go into this deep-rooted conversation for public health purposes. Let's see who's here. Good evening, Miss Rose. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Hi, Shaq. Happy Wednesday to you, my love. Inspiring. Good evening, teacher Sabrina. I am happy to be in another of your shows, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring to have you. It is a pleasure to have you here as always. Hey, Jimbo. It's not 6 yet, so guess what? You're still Jim. After 6, I'm gonna call you Nick, though. That's when the alter ego kicks in, just for fun and giggles. I miss Connie, though, Jim, your sidekick. Hi, Michelle. It's a pleasure to have you. Valerie Lindo, pleasant good afternoon to you as well. You know, as the summer comes to an end, I got to send big shout outs to my friend because I've been MIA because I'm building content here. Marjorie, hi, good evening. How are you, my sweet? It's always a pleasure to have you here with us. You know, everybody know my little hangout. Oh yeah, my friends down there at Cayman Cabana. And even though you know, the holidays are over or coming to an end, the summer is over. Yeah. You know, they're on the waterfront. The views are spectacular. The sunsets are to die for. And but look here, tomorrow is farm to table. Yeah, and that's some of the scrumptious stuff you can get. But this is available down there at Cayman Bay. Cayman Bay at Cayman Cabana, even now. And you know, if you want to order ahead or even make reservations for their farm to table, I just put up the link right there so that you can go on their Facebook page and you can see all the scrumptious stuff that they have down there. So yeah, that's just a sample of what they have in store for you down there. So big up to all my friends down there at Cayman Cabana, and definitely to Eddie Edwards. That's International Lighting, proud partnership with us. But we got to keep it real. Let's shop local. Let's help Edward support his 39-year anniversary and then pop down after celebration. Damn, that's tomorrow. Every Thursday from 7. You can go to Cayman Cabana and you can get some of this nice and delicious, mouth-watering, yum, 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 yum. Yes. And you know what? I'm going to share little secrets with you all. When you go down there, there's a guy there at the bar. His name, I call him Mumbai. And if you tell Mumbai, you know, Miss Sabrina has a favorite little drink. It's called Laquisha Sunset. Let me know what you think. Try it. Just try it. Hey, try it. Just try it. But the key is ask him for a Laquisha Sunset. Even if you see Luigi, say, Luigi, Miss Sabrina has a drink. I want to try one of her drinks. I want to see, get your opinion on that. Jim, I'm sure Connie is having a grand time. I'm sure she is, but guess what? She's missing us. And if we were there, you know how we would have a time with her. Good evening, Marshall. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Yeah, but yeah, it's I'm not gonna say very much. But yeah, and it's pretty and it's really nice. I'll say it's a creeper, Jimbo. It's a creeper. Good evening, Barbara G. It's a pleasure to have you here. But if you go down there and you say you want a LaQuisha sunset, they're going to smile. They're going to smile. And that smile says how mischievous I am when I do get out of the studio and go out. Yeah, they're going to just give you a real good smile. But yeah, let's keep it local. Let's shop local. Let's support our own. But, you know, all the specials go on down there at Cabana and like International Lighting all week on as he celebrates his 39 years of being in business. And Luigi's no different. He's always a huge supporter and advocate for Caymanian culture and cuisine. And I have never been disappointed down there, as I've never been disappointed at International Lighting either. All of my outdoor lightings, my ceiling fans, and those chandeliers that you've seen in this, they're all down there. And you see those bathrooms, if you got a pedestal and you want to get rid of a pedestal because you need those storage containers under your basin, don't go nowhere else. Just go to Edwards. He will be more than happy to take care of you. And for all those persons who are working on those construction sites, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the neon polos. But yeah, that's a mouthful for you. And yeah, so it'll be interesting. Jim, it's called LaQuisha Sunset. Yeah. Yep. You're gonna fall in love with this one. But I'll give it a try. Thank you. Let me know your feedback. I'm telling you, they're gonna smile at you. They're gonna smile. Put it like this: I have fun when I go out. I just let it all go and be me. I just live. Well, it's time to just get into this topic. And again, 936-8255 is the number to call to join in on the discussion. We're going to break that taboo, that silence today, because I understand, to be honest with you, when this topic came up in a professional setting, even in my former role, it was like, that was the kind of reaction you got. But in small island communities like ours, where the culture of certain things is taboo and often keeps us to our disadvantage, it's really to our disadvantage more than anything else. And I'll be sharing slides for context with you this evening because it's going to make this topic more, not palatable, but I think you will understand me more from where I'm coming from as I speak. And it's to allow you to follow along as well, but feel at any time you are welcome to call in and join in with the discussion so that I can understand and make sure that you're following along with me. A lot of the information that I will share here, it will blow your mind because a lot of the information is also local data. And anyone who knows me, Shaka Zulu knows me, and he knows that I'm a lover for data. So I'm not just flying from the hips here this evening. I'm being very honest with you. I'm going to be having these conversations. And even though it may be taboo, we often keep, it is quite normal for spaces like this or islands like this to keep health conversations behind closed doors. And the cost of silence is too high. And as I dug more and more into this topic, my mind wondered if certain people may not have still been with us if they just knew. So today, my aim is to break the silence as I unpack along with you the facts, busting the myths, hopefully, and giving you the tools to protect yourself or to give you that guiding path and your family for your future. And I feel that it was important for me to do this with you. I see you, one of Alfred. I see you, because knowledge is not just power; it's prevention, and prevention in this case can definitely save your life. So 936-8255 to join in the conversation if you so desire. Understanding some of you join me at different intervals, and I had a mouthful to say with my proud partnership. International Lighting and Cayman Cabana. Today's episode, for those of you who are late to class, is not just a conversation, as I said, it's a call to courage. Yeah, you heard me. A call to courage. HPV affects every one of us, Yet in places just like a hair, we rarely talk about it. And today, I want to share with you this information and give you a pretty much a roadmap of the facts, the myths, testing, prevention, what could be some of the biggest barriers to us, and the word cultural will be there, and how honestly it's in our best interests and how we can move forward. So I'm going to break it down in segments for you. And like I said, throughout the whole discussion here, you are free to call in. So I'm going to pop up here. What is it? What is HPV? Human papilloma virus. It is consisting of approximately more than 200 plus viruses. And pretty much that is spread throughout skin contact. And you can contact this just by exposure to the skin and not just intercourse. I said at the beginning that this conversation, viewer and listener discretion should be advised. But if you know from what age we're talking about later on, I'm going to deliver this as respectful as I can, but this is real talk. So please, I ask you to exercise discretion based on who's viewing and listening, but everyone needs to know. And we're talking about as young as age 10. How you break it down is totally up to you, and I respect you. I'm just giving you caution. I'm not going to be explicit. All the flyers and images that I'll have up here will be tasteful, so you don't have to worry about that. So we've established that the human papilloma virus is made up of 200 plus viruses. And we have known that it can spread through skin contact, not just intercourse, and skin to skin contact in the genital area. Now we're talking about the vaginal. This also includes, you can actually get this for transmission through anal and oral sex as well. One of the bigger things that I found out in this, in looking for the information, you can also transmit this through the sharing of adult toys. Yes, it can also be contracted because through sharing of adult toys. And it impacts and it can affect both men and women. That has been established. And men are actually the carriers of it. The reason why we're finding all of that, ladies and gentlemen, is because we are seeing where ladies are more quicker to find out that they have it, because for all of us who are good and believe in taking care of oneself, we will actually go and we will get pap smears, be it annually, every other year, or whatever. We actually go and we will get tested, we will get checked. But for men who are the carriers of this, they don't. And that is where the problem lies. So we have identified that this virus affects both genders, male and female. And the biggest one is the fact that it can lead to serious cancers. Serious cancers, and often there are no symptoms. So if you're not a person who go and get checked, as a female especially, this can be lurking around you and you don't even know. You have no clue. And the low risk of the infection is that you will see sometimes on the skin, there will be warts, like little bumps, like a fungus. And then the high risk of getting the virus, because you have the low risk, which will present itself with warts, and the higher risk, you will present yourself with cancer. High risk is cancer causing. So you may say, why is it often missed? That is because it is asymptomatic, meaning you have no symptoms. Some persons will actually have this virus and they don't even know. They have no clue. They have no clue. And another reason why it's often missed goes back again to the lack of routine testing. And that is especially in men. Men are more apprehensive to go and get checked. And you may say, well, you just said earlier on that they don't know and it's because there's no testing. Now there are other ways you can test for it as well. as a female, go and do a pap smear. There's stuff that the doctors can do for a male that you can also test for these cells. So now that you've gotten an idea of what it is, and you hoping you've understood what HPV is and how it spreads, I'm going to go into some real numbers with you. And because stats don't just tell the story, in my honest and humble opinion, they reveal a strong reality. And in our region, that reality, to be honest with you, is urgent. You may notice that public health has right now going on a HPV vaccine campaign. I don't know why it's taken so long. It's been over 3 weeks. And I can't wait anymore for that to come forward. Hence, we have to break it now because people have been asking me about this HPV. I guess you're seeing some of the ads. I don't know. But because it came up as a discussion on an earlier podcast that I have, and I have been getting constant questions about this vaccine and this virus, is why I felt it was important for me to address it here today. So when we look at the stats, let's look at our numbers. Let me remove this just so I'm not blocking you from anything that may be appearing on my screen. 85% of sexually active people will contract this HPV. And pretty much there are over 13 million new cases in the United States alone. You may say, well, Sabrina, what are you talking about? You're talking about data and all of this sort, and I probably get the bobblehead from some of you. But we do have some lower numbers. We have some estimates of what's actually in the Cayman Islands. And the main reason we can't get even more definitive data is because there is no cancer registry here. So we do not have a handle, a grip. We do not know for sure what the true numbers are of cancer that is linked to HPV in the Cayman Islands, because one of the things is two things: lack of testing, and two, they could be caught if we had a cancer registry, but there's no cancer registry. So we, based on the data received, it's most common in ages 15 to 24. And here in the Cayman Islands, what we're seeing is cervical cancer is a leading cause to death, but also breast cancer as well in females. And we're seeing more now showing up in males. As it pertains to HPV, we have been seeing approximately 10 to 15 new cases of cervical cancer every year in the Cayman Islands that is directly, we know, is directly linked to HPV. And of that local data, 40% of penile, for those of you who catch me, 40% are vaginal, 90% anal, 70% is oral. Oral phalangeal, meaning it's into the esophageal, going down there in the back of the throat. Oral cancer is tongue. And this can be attributed to HPV, with more than 60% due to vaccine preventable strains. Those numbers are staggering for our little island. And I am hoping that it is not the case where this is going on unnoticed, or our numbers are this high because people are fearful of having just this conversation. But for that amount, 90% alone anal, Cayman, wake up. We need to be a little bit more open and mature with having the real conversations. And we need to create a space where it's okay to actually have these conversations. Cervical cancer here is among the top causes of death in Cayman. And most common in ages, as we can see now, received for the HPV, but in general, it ranges from 25 to 49. And the second most cancer, as I said earlier on, is that age group after breast cancer. So let that sink in. So the commonest in women ages 25 to 49, and the second most common cancer in that same age group after breast cancer. So HPV vaccines are available, but guess what? Nobody is taking up them because we're still very taboo when it comes to taking or having the conversation, talking about sex, because it's a taboo. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and that seems like it spreads more than wildfire. And most of all, men are rarely included in the conversations. So you will hear in my beginning that I said silence doesn't mean safety. You could probably save your own life if you were more open to discussion or have those discussions with someone, be it a professional, a friend, or just start the conversation. There's nothing wrong with just breaking the ice. And I am hoping by the end of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks that is exactly what I will accomplish. So with the limited public dialogue and education, there's one thing about having a public campaign, come and get your vaccine for this, but when you don't have anything behind it, which is why it was so important for me to do this from a layman standpoint. And I welcome any medical professional, any one of the private clinics, because they all have access to this public health vaccine. It is free. I stand to be corrected, but it's a public health vaccine, which means you shouldn't be paying for it. And limited public dialogue and education is why I feel our numbers are so high, and it will continue to rise. And we will see that in small island jurisdictions like us. We are seeing similar trends in other Caribbean jurisdictions as well, like Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad. But we have a jurisdiction here in the Cayman Islands, and this podcast I know is being listened to by my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean region. And that is why we are voices of the islands and conversations for the world. But behind every number is a person. And for all of those stats that I have actually stated there, every silence is also a missed opportunity. And I want us to talk about HPV because it remains hidden, but it's in plain sight. Why you don't know don't hurt you, but in this case, what you don't know can kill you. And ignorance, in this case, would be sad. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live.
Good evening. How are you?
I am. Hear that voice.
How about in this voice? Really? Even you? Come on
Yeah,
now.
yeah. How are you, my love?
You need to have another segment to your show.
Oh,
Because-
a late one.
Yeah, late one. Laquisha Let's Loose.
It's only if Jim can be my co-host.
Laquisha Let's Loose. There you go.
What's on your mind, my love?
I'm listening to your topic
Mhm.
on HPV vaccination, and I had a question. Why is it that if the boys or the men
Mhm.
are just as responsible in the transmission of HPV, why is it that in the high schools here in Cayman, there's a drive to vaccinate all the girls, but there's no drive to vaccinate the boys?
No, the drive is for all genders. Again, and if that's the narrative that's being spun, caller, it shows that they're misinformed.
But historically, when they have when letters go home to parents, it's all for the girls.
Sir, vectors in this case for this conversation, the carriers are the males.
I know that.
Okay. So
I know
if
that. You
that's
know that.
what's
So
being communicated at home, I am hoping that through this medium that we will send a clear message that those letters and all communication goes for both genders. And this is why men are not aware, because exactly what you've described is why possibly they're not aware. You will go into some settings and some people may be a little upset that I'm even bringing this conversation forward because, again, taboo around sexual health. And it has to stop because impact of silence, caller, equals delayed diagnosis, higher cancer rates, and it can also has a significant emotional toll on all families. And can you imagine if you get that diagnosis because you were silent about it and knew that you got the higher risk one that causes cancer that could have been prevented if the right conversation was had or that you were properly informed? You know what that's like to live with that, knowing that it was always right there for free in the Cayman Islands? Well, I'm telling you, caller, it's free. The vaccine is free. So I'm hoping that the educators will adjust that communication when they're dealing with this specific virus that we're talking about, HPV, and make that include and have it for both genders. It is for both genders, sir.
So
Caller?
some people,
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, some people say that, you know, talking about this topic encourages promiscuity, right? But my question to the people who think that way, um, if the silence leads to cancer and preventable deaths, aren't we putting morality above saving lives?
Yes. Again, that's the reason why I feel, and I'm not, this is just speaking in broad form, context. Could a lot of the cervical cancers could have been avoided? It's one thing you remove it, but you know what happens with cervical cancer. It usually goes in systems. It either goes from the cervix to the ovaries, then it goes to the breast and all that sort, because usually these cancers work in systems. But without proper screening and annual pap smears for females, you wouldn't even know. You understand? Because the diagnosis, to be honest, the symptoms of it, unless you see those penile warts, genital warts, or let me just go here. For those of you who believe in eating during those fun times, oral sex, let's call it for what it is. A lot of the throat and tongue cancer is leaded to this because you're doing all of that and you don't even know that your partner has this virus. And a lot of the cultural silence is possibly fear of judgment, stigma, and also, bottom line, misinformation. So we're seeing a lot of it. I see where somebody is asking about the signs and symptoms. And to that commenter, a lot of the signs and symptoms are usually genital warts, cervical warts, penile, anal, and throat cancers. So there's really, like a fluid, you can feel a headache coming on and all that sort of stuff. This has been laid dormant in people for a long time. And, at the end of the day, you don't even know you have it. And at the end of the day, I hope that at the end of this show, caller, that we will have males and females going to their private doctors, their physicians, their clinicians, whoever, wherever you want to go. And they actually get tested. Because for men, you may not have a cervix, but if you're having issues in your throat, they can do a swab. They can take a swab from your penis in the males, and they can do an anal swab as well. So you don't have to be a female in this case to be tested. Men, there are actually tests now that you can do to test if you have these cells. And they'll do it just like how they will do the tests for a pap smear in females. Caller?
I think there needs to be greater sex education in Cayman, to be honest.
Well, it takes a spark, and I'm hoping that this evening's conversation will be that spark. in just creating this space in order to have this conversation.
All right, thank you. I'm listening in.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes, 9368255 is the number to call if you have any concerns or comments you would like to share on this. Miss Lucille. I'm here, Sabrina, still at work. This, God thanks, I am, oh, so nice to have you, Miss Lucille. Marjorie, are you saying that there are two different strains, one that causes warts and the other causes? Yes, there, of this virus, there are over 200 plus virus that make up the HPV. And to be honest with Marjorie, it's just a combination of it's a number of things that make this up. And I'm going to be putting up a lot of these slides here, so just bear with me so that I can just do this for you. Yeah, but there are a number of them, Miss Marjorie. There are over 200 strains of this, and this is why we have to be careful. 6. Let me just get another slide up here to make it easy. And I'm hoping that you'll see where the slides are actually helping. I hope that the slides this evening help make the conversation easier and to just help us here as I go along with you this evening. There we go. Yeah, so we will see that for those persons that are looking. There are a number, and as I said at the beginning, this virus is comprised of 200 plus various viruses. The low risk one comes with warts, and many people will have the warts, or they will find these things in the genital areas, and it'll just go away on its own. And then the higher risk of, based on this virus that you may have, you don't know whether or not you're low risk or high risk. The low risk usually shows. The high risk is cancer causing. So there are two types, the low risk versus the high risk. And the high risk, Ms. Marjorie, is the one that causes the warts. So the signs and symptoms, as we say, most people do not show. HPV has little to no symptoms, so you may not know if you have it. And it is very common for most people that will have some type of HPV in their lives. It is most common that you will get some type of HPV in their lives. And what is most profound is that you can have HPV for many years without it causing any problems. And again, we will see it up here on the screen. The females can see genital warts, abnormal pap smear results, and the long-term risks of it not going treated is cervical, vaginal, vulvar, anal, throat cancers. That's what we're seeing. And in the men, also genital warts, penile, and anal cancer as well. Now, of course, you will have those sectors of persons who are homosexuals. We will see it more, the rates a lot higher in those where the anal cancers are concerned, the throat, the mouth, the tongue. We're seeing that more into that sector of persons, and often undetected in males due to the lack of routine screening. I am hoping that because of this very show this evening, that they will know now, not because you're a man and you don't have a cervix for a pap smear, that there are tests now that you can do. So HPV doesn't always show up for context, but it always matter, and you need to know. What was another finding in me doing this research and preparing for today? I learned that you can also have it even if you've not been sexually active or have had a new partner for many years. Why? Because you can have it. It can be in you dormant. It can be silent. And multiple partners increases your risk that much more. And we know that the men are the vectors. You will hear me say this over and over this evening. They are the carriers. So both parties engage in sexual activities, but the more you have unsafe sex and with multiple partners, and the types of engagement that you're doing increases your risk to all of these other types of cancers. that we have said. It's not only breasts, it can be mouth, it can be tongue, it can be anal, it can be penile, and all of those sort of things. So recognizing the symptoms is one thing, but getting tested, which is why I am on this campaign this evening, is another. For all of you who are anti-vaxxers, I respect you, but I have to have the real conversation. Even if you get tested and you says, well, she said it can be in me because I'm low risk, whatever, and I'm not going to take the vaccine. That's just another ploy. To each his own. But what I will not allow persons to do is go and not be informed. And that was the sole purpose of this topic today. I want you to be informed. So, like I said, recognizing the symptoms is one thing, but getting tested is another. This is a public health initiative, and therefore these vaccines are accessible by private clinicians, private doctors. If you go to your private doctor and they don't have, they can reach out to public health at HSA and they can furnish them with the vaccines, with the vaccine if you so choose to go to a private practitioner. And in the Cayman Islands, access to this, as I said, contrary or unlike other jurisdictions, that they may not have even access to it. One, or even if they have access to it, it's not for free. But awareness doesn't allow always follow. And this is why I am making sure this evening that I take my time and break it down. So at the end of the day, you can't say that if you go and get tested, like I said, you can go to public health at HSA, it is free. And if you want to get the vaccine, which we have identified, it is for males and females, young men and young women, it's available. It is just not for the females at all. And we want to make sure that it is important that testing is that's the best way to find out whether or not you have it, to be honest. So let's go on to the testing and diagnosis. I have placed on the screen here, and I have said this at the beginning, and you may hear me repeating a lot of things. That's because I have to emphasize on it. It's very important that you get it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you understand how it's done. So it does not require blood. It is a simple test, getting the cells off from a pap smear or HPV DNA test. And even though no routine test is visual inspection or biopsy, now they have found where screenings can be done quite similar, that you can get a sample of cells from the rectum or from the penis themselves, okay? So how it works, all females who have done the screening, small sample of cells is taken of the cervix and tested for HPV. And we know for females, this is recommended for every 3 years. And that goes from age 21 to 64 as a means to help prevent against cervical cancer. So even though there's no routine tests for men, they depend a lot on visual and inspection or biopsy. But what I need you to understand about this for my males is that sometimes when you do those biopsies, it's almost too late. It's late. Whereas if you can just go do a simple test, let's say you have no visible symptoms, and you can do a simple test now, that can probably save you from finding it out at last stage. So I've placed here the numbers and contact numbers for the clinics and the programs offering these screenings and for the vaccine. And I want to encourage all of you who don't want to possibly go and get any one of these facilities, feel free to find a medical professional of your choice, because testing is powerful. But prevention, that's where we can shift from reaction to protection. And that is the power and the message that I want to actually resonate here this evening on this topic. And I'm hoping that for those of you who are in tune, that it will open your perspective up even more. We know that from an instance where females, you can make you infertile, you can probably want to have a child and maybe not. Simple screening, simple screening. But the key takeaway, nuggets to take away, is the fact that it is easy for us to actually get screening, and we can actually avoid it. I wouldn't want a case where somebody is misinformed, don't have access to the information, and is right there. I think that would be a crying shame, because it is free of cost here, and no one should be caught off guard, to be honest. So if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Jim, thank you. You commented to the caller. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that the silence is because you're all taking it in, and I hope I'm not grossing you out too much. But information is power. And I am quite sure at some other point we will have a medical professional on this forum that can probably break it down even more for you. But as I said, right now, there's an HPV vaccination program going on out there. I am hoping that at the end of this podcast, that more persons would actually be showing up at these clinics or asking more information about it, but doing the right thing and getting screening, or actually both screening and taking the vaccine. So let's look at the prevention and prevention and its power. The vaccination is a Gardasil 9, which protects you from 9 major strains, and it's available free for ages 9 to 25 here in Cayman. Do you understand what I'm saying? You may say, well, Sabrina, what are you talking about ages 9? Not being abused in the Cayman Islands. We know that there are children engaging in sexual activities from as early as age 10. I deliberately paused there for you to let that sink in. These are not children that are being molested in a lot of what I'm sharing with you right now. The children that is out there now, they have access to so much information, but the power that is on their phones, that if you think they are not maturing before time because the little hormones are going crazy and they get a little boyfriend and they do little tips and they do this and they do, we are seeing where some of them are engaging in sexual intercourse from age 10. I implore you to have the conversation. Gauge your conversation that is age neutral with the young men and women in your home. And if you don't have young children or young adults in your home, and it's just you and your partner, have the conversation. For those women who still have a cervix, because we know you can have total abdominal hysterectomy that removes the cervix, the uterus, the fallopian tube. Some of you may still have your ovaries. Some may have done a complete. If you still have a cervix, and you are scratching your head right now, wanting to find out when was the last time you actually did a pap smear, I'm hoping that by the end of this, you'd be calling your gynecologist or making an appointment to do it. I'm not pointing the finger at your partner, but like I said, you may be the one who is loyal, but we don't know how much other partners may be in your relationship. I have been having a number of relationships with couples as well. Females, to be honest with you, are coming up to me and saying, Miss Sabrina, thank you for actually bringing these conversations alive. Because I gotta be honest with you, I quote, I'm gonna be honest with you, Miss Sabrina, I am loyal. I'm loyal in my relationship, but I don't think I'm the only one in my relationship. And that puts me at risk because I know he or she is the only one that I'm with. But there are times there's something going on in the pits of my stomach. When they say they're going here and there, I don't feel that's where they're going. When they tell me that they're on shift and they're going here or there, I don't think they're going to work. Or when I think they're going to work, somewhere during the course of the day, deciding whom and they're in extracurricular activities. And I am concerned, Miss Sabrina, that I am not the only one in the relationship. So thank you, Miss Sabrina, for having the conversations. And hence the birth of this conversation. You may be doing everything right in your relationship and the male bring it home to you or some other sexually transmitted disease, STI, infection. You need to start having these adult conversations. Now, whether or not you gotta have a spare tire, a little thing on the side, just for fun and giggles, because we all know as adults now. Oy, the sweetest one is when you steal it, eh? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's sweet. Oh, yes, it's sweet. But you don't know how much they're with when you gone back home. And worse if you're doing it unprotected. You're increasing your chances. And we have an opportunity to do a simple test right here that's available free for all ages. But we're looking to target those ages 9 to 25 right here in the Cayman Islands. When you look at the safe practices, even the use of condoms and dental dams, for those of you who are exercising in lots of oral, they do not cover all of the skin for condoms or the oral dams around your genitals. So even with the use of condoms, you're not fully protected. But one of the biggest and safest practices is limiting sexual partners. This may lead into another conversation when it comes to testing for work permits. For both genders, should that be included in some of the surveillance testing for work permits as early as 3 months? Should pap smears for females be done? And for testing of HPV viruses in males also be done by a satisfactory means? And another way of limiting cancer as well is avoiding smoking. Good evening, caller, and welcome. You're live on Sabrina Speaks.
Let me share this with you.
Share it with me, Milo.
100% agree with what you were saying. But listen to this.
What happened?
When you just say about the person that speaks to you and say that they're loyal, but they're not sure if their partner is loyal. Well, I know that I'm loyal, but I had friends when I used to work at the airport, and I know that they were flirting around on their partners, and sometimes they used to call me and tell me about come go with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no.
You with an alibi?
I'm not in that kind of thing. And that's when the herpes had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
Remember hearing that?
Yeah,
herpes. And
herpes zoster.
I don't want herpes. And these were the words, and I won't tell a lie. What they used to tell me, they say, well, you're a fool. You think that your husband only dealing with you, and at least if we go out and get it, we can say that we went and get it, but they will laugh. But they say that this is the part that will hurt, and they're going to laugh at me if anything will happen to me because you're being loyal and staying home and having it delivered. That's what he used to tell me.
Mm.
And well, at least my conscience would be clear that I didn't went and look it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to do whatever I want to do, that's on a business. Each to his own. Everybody thinks different.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to worry about pap smear because I just not long had all of that stuff done. And I know that I'm not doing nothing. And I know what I got up in my room. That sleep, that being my site 48, 24, 64, 104 hours a day. So I can swear for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I know that he had brain damage and he had cancer.
You're blessed.
I guess it's on me too because all us got that, but just that some people don't develop. So
Mm-hmm.
I think good. And like I tell him, I don't see nothing out there that I want because you're not sure who's who. And they'll tell you all kind. And of course, people not gonna tell you that they got nothing.
Correct.
And because after AIDS come out, people used to say about when I tell them something, they say, well, this is how they think. If they go out and catch it, they're not telling nobody they got it, and anything that they could give it to, they're gonna give it to because they get it from somebody, and if they got die, they got carry a whole graveyard with them. I say selfish, selfish. That's how some people think. So this is one. So that's my little take on it, and whoever wants to say whatever they want to say, they can say it. But I say what my cousin Boot used to say. I know what I know. I know who I am, and God know who I am. And to hell with the world.
Thank you, caller. It's always a pleasure to have you sharing with us. And let's see what Jimbo. Hey, Lavona, what do you say? Busy at work? I like your laundromat, Lavona. Nice addition in there. Congratulations to you too, Lavona. Oh, good for you. Truth talk, Jim. Jimbo saying, when you lay down with someone, you lay down with everyone your partner has been with or is with. Yes, you're quite right. You're quite right. Jim, that is profound because it is said that once you actually go through that experience, you're connected. You're connected. So it goes back to loyalty. It goes back to your increased risk. It goes back to professional. It goes back to personal responsibility. And it's best to have the talks now with our young people because it is not what it was when I was 12 and 13. What our children are being exposed to these days at such an earlier age, when you think you're covering their ears or you're doing this because it was a PG-13 movie. Oh, Jesus. They may be in school and they're seeing much more than you would probably ever see at your tender age of 10, 11, 12, 13. And I think the quicker we come to grips with this reality, the better it is, because we can be protecting our young men and our young women from certain conversations when they're in our space. But we must understand that the environment out there now is not what it used to be when we, at age 51 now, when I was that teenager, some of the things that I'm hearing these young people are talking about, how they even react, like those little hormones are going crazier at a younger age. I think we need to be having the serious conversations. And if it is a case where, how dare you talk to me like that? A man is a man when he can get as much women as he want, or I'm a stud. Oh man, I good. Think about the risks. Think about the risks. I am hoping that the powers that be, as they go through this HPV campaign, and based on the discussions and some of the real facts that are here, will actually have them reform public health screening. Not to say that it's only being imported, because I have established already that the vectors for this particular strain, or for these strains, HPV, is carried by men. Even though women can have it, because once you have actually engaged in sexual activities, it heightens your risks. Unless it's a case you have never, ever, 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 guess how you came into the world? You've never had anybody go there. But God forbid you share toys with somebody else, you can catch it from your toy. Understand what I'm saying? So unless you buy that for yourself, don't share toys. Don't share toys, because you don't know who you're sharing it with, if they're carriers or if they have it. Okay? So, Jim, without proper education, young people feel immortal. Nothing will get them. Nothing will take them. Their thoughts are here forever. You're quite right. But you also have some men and women that are behaving the same way. You have some men, and I'm not being gender biased, I'm having the real conversation, that actually sleeping around is like wearing a badge of honor, how they can sit down and they can count on every finger and toe. Some of them pretty much will tell you straight, Jim, they have no clue how much they've been with. And some women will tell you they can do, and God knows they don't know how much they've had either. There have been cases, and I have read articles where in one day a lady must have taken 100 men. She ended up in the hospital. There's an article, and this lady ended up in the hospital. What does that mean? What did she open up herself to? And what are we opening up ourselves to when we're not having the real conversation? I have said it here, safe practices, but the best way is limiting sexual partners. Limiting sexual partners or being loyal, being faithful. And then somebody say, well, what's the sense? As the caller alluded to, what's the sense? You may be doing everything. You may be doing everything, being loyal, being that perfect partner. And they're either emotionally attached because they're having conversations with a coworker or a friend or a longtime friend on phone, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, that leads from one thing to the next. And then one little thing and you catch it. This is real. But I think we all need to be adults here. And for all of those churches, you need to have the conversations. Whether you have your women's retreat and you have the conversation separate for your females, and you have the men's retreat and you have the conversation for the men in their sins. When they go home, they're sleeping on the same bed, but when they're in church, you can't talk about it. That's crazy. You could tell me you could tell me church people are not participating in sexual activities based on certain denominations, that you're not participating in sexual activities? Something needs to be done. You can craft the conversation, craft the presentation in a way that is fitting for the space. If this show was later on in the night, I would have more images up here to show you. I would literally show you the warts. I would literally show you the back of someone's mouth. I would literally show you someone's gums. And I will literally show you exactly how your skin looks, the emotional impact and toll that it takes on persons. And there are people living amongst us that didn't ask for it, and they were loyal and they never stepped out of their relationship. But guess what? It came to them. It has caught them. I know of one particular case. They have ended up with a total hysterectomy with no chances of ever having or being able to bring a child into this world. And they only had one partner. But their partner had multiple, or were having multiple partners. And now guess what the conversation is? Well, I want a child. Another excuse to go out there. These are real stories. Real stories. Marilyn Richards, thank you for agreeing. Miss Rose, how long has that virus been out? Weeks or months? No, Miss Rose, this has always been there. Miss Rose, the virus has always been there. But we're not talking about it because we are too holy, I guess. Or we're a society that we don't talk sex. We don't talk about sex education. And you can do it and you can be respectful, Miss Rose. And I am honestly trying my best here this evening. The closest to sex education that we've ever had in a public space that is derived from the Cayman Islands is when I had the conversation with Mr. Alexander. that we were talking about marriage as a convenience. And it was since that episode, everywhere I've gone, I have had males and females come up to me and said, thank you. But when we started talking about that section, because remember that night we wrapped up about 6 times and we talked about oral cancer and oral sexual activities and anal and all this sort of stuff. That was when I brought up the HPV. And if you go back to that episode, I said, or one before that, I said, I am hoping to get the good doctor on here. And that was before summer vacation was still on. And there is a vaccine program that is going on now. Anybody know about it? Is anybody knows about that? If you're not going digging, where are the little one-on-one workshops? No one knows about it because people are still so uncomfortable to have this normal conversation. I swear, some of the topics that we need to be having instead of tearing down people and tearing down our own people is topics just like this that you take away. And I'm hoping that this podcast today will save somebody's life, will save somebody's cervix so that they can actually have a child, will save somebody's relationship, somebody's marriage, or will give them the courage that they know or they have an idea their early teen is sexually active, but they don't even know how to start the conversation. Some of us need to have our kids on birth controls a little earlier. Some of us need to have the conversation with our young men that some of our ladies, our young ladies, are seeing their periods from 12. Do you know what that means, young men? That if you go there to dip your stick, you can be a father at 14. Because from the time that young lady starts to have her menstrual cycle, it means she's ready for childbearing. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speak.
Good evening, Miss Sabrina. How are you this
Hi,
evening, my
I'm
beautiful Caymanian
fine.
lady?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. We had a little rain in West Bay, so
well, and it
I
took
clapped
every
my
bit down there.
hands.
And it took every bit down there.
It wasn't much for 5 minutes, but we take anything good God through Jesus Christ then.
What's on your mind, my love?
Yes, the conversation that you're having, it is a conversation to be had. And I have been wondering why it has not been had a long time ago. Yes, originally HPV was a woman's worry.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer a woman's worry. It is a man's worry, and it is a big worry. I go back to when I was diagnosed with HIV. And I had friends at the time and family say to me, how did it happen? How did it happen? And I didn't tell no one for a long time, for years before I actually said to some family members and a few friends how it happened. I said I was in what I called a monogamous relationship. Unknown to me. he wasn't being monogamous, but anyway. Life changed in 2012, and it changed a big part. And it made me realize that you can trust someone, but unless you are keeping track of someone from every minute they wake up till they go to bed, you really don't know what they're doing. And when you trust someone and you love them and you care for them, you give them your all, and they're supposedly giving you their all, but they're out there doing the most and doing the not so most.
Yep.
So I got it because someone wasn't faithful to me. It was a hard lesson to learn. And I remember being in the hospital, and I already knew what I had, okay? Talking here 2012. Mouths talk. And when it came out that I told a few friends, I'm going on Cayman 27 because honestly, if I had to live another day the way how I had to live it back then, it wasn't worth living.
Mm.
The amount of name calling, the amount of things that were said to me in public,
Mm-hmm.
I chose to go public with it. And I let the bean and the bags open and they spilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I got told, why didn't you not say that? I says, when you can walk in someone's shoes and live in their life, especially being gay and having HIV,
Mm-hmm.
I said, when people are talking about you, when people tell you that you shouldn't even breathe the same very air that you
Oh.
breathe in, it's sad. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to correct that in order for you to live and to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I did what I did.
It's a
I
mental
don't have,
shift.
it is because it tears you apart inside. You're not only dealing from the loss of someone you loved
Mm-hmm.
and cared for you, supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
someone who's gone and totally ruined your life.
Mm-hmm.
The responsibility is there for you to take, and I took it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have someone that comes back to you and say, I'm leaving the island, and you've been with this person for a few years and they're leaving just like that,
Mm-hmm.
they're gone, they're out of the picture, you're left to deal with everything that entitles and encircles HIV. And you,
Mm-hmm.
they can pick up and run.
Mm-hmm.
This is home. I
Mm-hmm.
chose to stay and fight for me. Nowadays, you know, what I think needs to happen, and I'm just going to go on down to the immigration route of this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone on a work permit here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. If you're here for whatever 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
every year there should be something in that permit clause that states by law you should be tested for any sexually transmitted disease. I'm sorry, because there are too many stories of things happening here and people getting diagnosed with things and leaving Cayman and not telling certain people who they've been with what they have. And you might say it's infringing on someone's
Privacy.
um,
Privacy, medical.
privacy or
Yeah.
their right,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to make it a way in order as to make the public as safe as they can be, because nobody can tell nobody not to go have sex with anybody. That's
Mm-hmm.
our choice, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you've had somebody here for 3 years, they could have caught a sexually transmitted disease and you do not know. The government does not know.
Well, for the renewal of every work permit, it comes with a medical. Now, if you're saying before they pay, because you pay a year at a time. Let's say
Yeah.
someone got a work permit for 3 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 24 to 25. When they go from 25 to 26,
Mm-hmm. They
based
got
on
tested again.
yeah. So yeah, every time they go for a payment, there could be a clause that puts a
In there
condition
that states
that you
for
need to
this to
do.
be renewed,
No,
you
but it
have
wouldn't be
to have
renewed
a
because
medical.
it would have been automatically
Medic-
approved for 3 years,
Okay.
subject to,
But
but it all depends on the conditions with the work permit.
yes, and if so, if you are tested for whatever, then the permit will have to get canceled.
Well,
Because
it fringes
you
a little
know,
bit on human rights because we
yes,
do know
we
that
know.
some of these
Mhm.
things can be treatable. The
Yes,
thing
and
is, when it becomes a public health risk that you outright,
yes,
and this is hard to prove, that you're
yes,
out
it
there
is.
spreading it, and which is
Uh-huh.
why I feel we need to do more sexual talks,
We
because
do.
there are a lot of information that could be shared, and in this case, it's simple
Mhm.
starting the conversation. I have
Yes, ma'am.
declared here that we're having kids that are sexually active from as early as age 10.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's not the generational years we grew up in.
And they are now going to be exposed to this
Yes,
HPV virus.
yes. And I have seen the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the pictures in private parts, your mouths.
Yeah.
I tell people HIV is a disease that is controllable, but that's a death sentence. That's how I lay it out to the few people that I talk to when I talk to them. I said, this is a death sentence. And you wouldn't want to have it, and you get told, what is that? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? You go Google it and you see what comes up, and then you understand what it is,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not something you want to play with.
Mm-hmm. And then the public, how you're treated. It's like you're scorned. It's like you have leprosy. It's
My
like
dear,
you are just in a
oh,
yeah. It's like I don't
don't
even want to
go
sit
there.
after you. I don't even want to be in the same space proximity with you.
Oh,
I
please.
can only
Been there,
imagine.
done that, and threw it all over my head and went, "You're the whores out there, not me. I'm keeping to myself. I'm not doing what you're doing." You know, I used to get asked years later, "Aren't you going to go out? Let's go out and have a drink." I says, "I'll go out and have a drink or something." When I used to drink, I says, "But I'm not going to any nightclub
Mm-hmm.
because I don't do that anymore."
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you're old school. You're not even 50 yet. What do you
Mm-hmm.
mean you're not going out?" "I'm not going. I will go with you to have a drink and something to eat, but I'm not going to a nightclub."
Mm-hmm.
What's so bad about that? But the name calling that was done when I came out, the
Mm-hmm.
people that looked at me and said, "You have what?" "Yeah, we don't want to sit where he is.
Did they step
We
back?
might get what he got." I'm like, "What?" I had one person, they step back. "Oh yeah, they step back and go, you have what?" Oh my God. It's like, excuse you, me? You're out there doing the most. I keep to myself. I've been told that you can't use these glasses. These are mine. Don't touch them. I gotta get what you got. As for who were the worst, family. Family was the worst.
Because they just didn't understand. They
Some of
don't
them
understand.
refuse to understand. You know, it is it's, we have to educate our children in school. This starts from in school,
Mm-hmm.
but it also starts from the parents sitting down with their children at an early age. And you might not want to have that conversation at 10 years old, but the environment,
Mm-hmm.
the way children are growing up today, the touch of a button, 2 words can pull up anything on Google
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the Apple Play Store or anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't tell children they can't have sex. You can say to them, if you're doing this is too young. You're not supposed to be doing that. But you have to educate
Mm-hmm.
the young children of what the bad diseases, the whatever, the bad behavior, that this, you can't go along doing that and think that there are no consequences to what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at least educate them enough that even if you're going to
Yes,
go
that
behind
you
mums and
do
dad
it,
back,
you
you do it
take
safe. You be
your
precaution.
precautions.
Mm-hmm.
Condoms were built for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Lube was built for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense is there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Being smart is there for a reason. You just have to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But we shy away and oh no, we can't talk about that. This is the church.
Mm-hmm.
This is the where? The church? Child, you don't know what the churches is place more than that going on in the churches. So they really need to have the conversation with their fellow followers and congregations. And like you say, separate them if you must.
Mm-hmm.
Do a man's one, a woman one, and do a couple's one.
And you can
But
even
the
do the young ones,
conversation,
the children,
yes,
the early teens and the younger
yes,
ones.
and have a parent there so that they are getting educated also with their children.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do it, who else are going to do it? It's too late when you gotta go to hospital and say, "Oh my God, my child has the sexually transmitted disease. Oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to chastise the child. You want to go on about the child.
Why
when
you didn't tell
been
me?
a parent.
Or they'll go after, if it's a daughter, they will go after the parents of the son.
Thank you. And want to blame them.
Mm-hmm. Or
it takes
worse,
2 to tango.
Worse, declare rape when it was consensual because of the
make
age.
It seem, yes, and to make it seem better because the parents not getting the blame. When the blame should fall on the parents. Sex is how we got here, but it can be taught in a way to teach our young teenagers and young children that are coming up, that are going
Correct.
to be the leaders
Yes.
and the people that push Cayman forward in the future, because none of us are going to live forever.
Nope.
If they are not educated,
Mm-hmm.
you are getting a generation that don't know what to do when it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have a trickle down effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because sex education should be something that is taught in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
I am sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. That's how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shy away from it. But then you have the church want to say this or the church want to do that. Look, your body is your body. You do as you feel. But education must come. Because if education does not come, then it's going to be a problem on the health system.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the parents or this one can't afford their insurance, then the government has to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put things in place so that it doesn't get to be a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked today on Radio Cayman show about eating healthy.
Right.
It is something that we as people, as Caymanians, we like our bread kind, okay, honey chat? We all know that.
Them ground
We love our
provisions.
white rice with the rice and beans. But change over the white rice for the brown rice.
Mm-hmm.
We are what we eat. We are what we put into our bodies. We are what we put on our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back. I say I refuse to take any pill that I shouldn't have to take. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was on a pain pill for my osteoarthritis. I don't take it anymore because I've learned to eat healthy, adjust what I do, proper sleep, proper exercise,
Mm-hmm.
eating healthy, watching what you put into your body, because the foods that we eat are what is causing us inflammation in our bodies. But sex education is just like common sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be taught, and we have to go and have these difficult conversations. As difficult as they are,
Mm-hmm.
we have to have them.
Caller, I
Because
gotta be
we do
honest
not-
with you. I held my
Mhm.
breath couple times to deliver this the way in which I've delivered it today, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I've held my breath and
I
I
know.
said, but it has to be done because people are coming up to me and saying, go ahead, do it, have
Yes.
the conversation.
You have to have it.
And they trust me that I'd be able to deliver it in a way that's
In
not
a way,
Yeah.
yes, and we don't have to show pictures
Correct.
of private parts
Correct.
with it on it. We
Correct.
can talk about it gets in your mouth, it gets on
Yeah. Mhm.
on your body, and
Mhm.
it wreaks havoc to your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get other issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
Organs will start to fail or start to not work properly because of an infection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's there for life.
Yep.
It's just like the herpes virus. We get fever blisters.
That
Stress
stays with
brings
you.
it on.
Yep.
It's in all of us.
It stays
But
with
you
you.
have to learn how to maintain your stress level in life
Mm-hmm.
and do things but not make you unhealthy that way.
Mm-hmm.
But this notion about sex shouldn't be taught in schools. Sex shouldn't be spoken in the church and talked about. We have to come away from that as a society, because society has come a long way since the 1950s of Cayman Islands,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
And we're no longer the island's time forgot.
Mm-hmm.
We are the island's time will forget if Caymanians don't step up and do something about what has gone on.
Mm-hmm.
But sex education, it is no different from going to school and learning something about your health. It is being healthy.
Yeah.
It is bringing up the topics, and they have to be discussed. Because like I say, the generations coming up are not like us,
No.
the generations
Totally.
of the past.
They're more mature. More mature.
They are more mature. They are learning things earlier, and
Yeah.
they are exposed to everything.
Correct. Correct. Caller.
Everything.
You're quite right.
So the topic of sex education needs to be talked about, and it can be talked about in a way and a manner with sexually transmitted diseases that we are getting our point across,
Mm-hmm.
but we are saying it in a comfortable way.
Correct.
and a respectful way.
With dignity.
Yes, it's
And
scary to look at
respectful.
it's scary to look at some pictures of HPV. It's very scary. But the knowledge of knowing how you get it.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, and Mr. Jim said, you are with someone. Do you know what their sexual history past has been? Because like he said, you are sleeping with everybody
Yes,
that
they've been
they
with before.
slept with and more.
Yep.
And you're doing it and you don't know what they have. You might be honest and tell them what you have or what you don't have. But they don't know. You don't know what they have. So sex education, it has to be taught. And we got to get away from this foolishness about, oh, my child is 10 years old. That's too young for them to learn that. Sweetheart, your child could be doing the most you don't even know.
Correct.
And it's a conversation to be had. And we have to be respectful when we come about doing these conversations and bringing up these topics. And that is how we are going to educate our people.
Right.
You know, nobody's not telling you not to be attracted to someone and go and do what you do. But we are saying go do it safely.
Yep.
And be careful.
Yes.
Because you can touch someone's skin with HPV.
Yeah, I said it. You don't even have to have penetration in this case. Yeah.
Them with them having it, and from the sweat glands, kaboom!
Yep.
You are infected.
Yep.
So it is something you have to be totally scared of.
Which is why
Forget
vaccination is key. I mean,
yes,
we see the bump and grind for Carnival, Bacchanal,
sweetheart, the bump and grind, the bump. Yeah. and that was just on the road. We didn't know what took
we
place
were just on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cigarette in the hand and the alcoholic drink and beverage. When you're intoxicated, do you know what's happening? No, you don't. So you don't know what you've just done.
Yeah.
And unless it's somebody that's going to tell you what you just done that night that you can't remember, you probably most never will never know what you done.
Nope.
So I gotta leave it with this.
Thank
if you want to go out there and play and have a good time, don't do it at the expense of the people you have at home. Because a lot of these men and women that are doing it, they have husbands and wives, girlfriends and boyfriends and better halves.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't think about, when a person is going to cheat, they don't think about the implications of where it has to go down the road.
Correct.
And the people it affects. Because there's an emotional side, there's an attachment side of love, and then there's the stupidity side of it, that you should never have done that because you have a good partner at home that trusts you and loves you. And it is a sex is a conversation that has to be had.
Right.
Thank you, Ms. Sabrina.
Thank you. Always appreciate your contribution.
It is something that needs to be talked about. You're not doing something that shouldn't be done or shouldn't be talked about. It's something that should be talked about.
Right.
And more people like me need to speak up and say what we have to say in the ways that we bring it. Because, like I said, anyone that wants to call me names or whatever can call me whatever they want to call me. It doesn't bother me no more. I have been through so much. I have been through so much with my family, with society, that the only thing that I look for is to continue to try to educate people, because you can live a long life with HIV if you do the right things. We're all going to die. That's a part of our lives. But don't make an illness or a sickness get to the point where you've done nothing about it.
Correct.
Because when you do nothing about it, then you lose your life. You have to learn. We have to learn to educate ourselves. It's not because we might be living with a communicable disease or whatever it is. We can still live. We can still live healthy lives if we focus on what is right. The negativity in my life is gone. I don't care what people think of me anymore because I have risen above that. What I try to do is educate the few people that are around me left. You want to go have sex? Go have it. But these are the risks you are taking. So make sure you're not jumping in bed with every snake that slithers past you. or every dragon or devil that slithers past you that looks pretty, because they might look pretty dressed up, but you really don't know what they're carrying within them.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation of sex has to be had. It has to be start from the home. It has to go into the schools. And we have to educate ourselves about what is out there and what we can do to protect ourselves.
Yep. Well, I'm going to
No,
actually share some myth busting truths here, myths and truths in the next once you wrap up. But
yeah.
and
So,
I'll read some
so
comments as well.
sex education, yes, I'm all for it in the schools. Start it in the homes. Parents, if you're listening this evening, sit down with your children. Find out what they're up to. See where they're going. And if they're having sex, sit them down and have that conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you separate your boy from your girl, however you do it, sit down and have these conversations. They are to be had. Because remember, it takes a village to raise a child. But those children that are being risen who come out of the village and run the country are the young Caymanians of today and tomorrow that will fuel Cayman and get it to where it needs to be. But if they're not educated with what they need to be educated in, then I'm sorry, our health crisis is going to go in a lot deeper health crisis. I have started listening to the STEP survey that was done, and I'm going to leave it here after this. I looked up in Foster's the other day at one mystic juice, okay? And it gets you a being, oh, this has got carrot and it got ginger and it's got this. And then you spin it around, Miss Sabrina, and you look and you go,
what?
63 grams of sugar added.
Yep.
And it was 65 to the one soda. And I said, it comes out, 65 grams of sugar comes out to 16.25 teaspoons of sugar. That's one of those mystic drinks that you're consuming. You imagine if a person consumes 3 of those a day.
Imagine the
You're
Pepsis
setting
and the
yourself
Jupina.
up for diabetes.
Yep. And we're going to be
And-
delving into that as well too, caller. I'm going to have an exclusive show on the STEP survey.
Yeah, and it is so, it's interesting. And we have to educate ourselves what not to eat, what to eat. And we got to get away from eating the unhealthy junk and all of that and get to a point where we know what's healthy and what's not.
Correct.
Not telling you don't have it. but there's other
Moderation,
things you can
everything with a
have.
balance.
It's just like sex. Not saying don't go out there and have sex. I'm saying when you go do it, men and women,
Be responsible.
make sure you are responsible. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Sabrina, and I'll continue to listen. Have
Appreciate
a wonderful evening.
Likewise.
And God continue to bless you.
Thank you, my dear. Sure.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for your contribution, as always, caller. Just let me get some of the comments that were shared here. Jim says, I agree, Sabrina. However, the mindset differs from adults compared to the younger generations. Adults should be holding themselves accountable, whereas the younger generations are just out experiencing their beginnings at life, not completely understanding the consequences. You're so quite right. You're quite right, Jim. You're not wrong at all. They're exploring. I mean, you're in your high, and like I said, get a couple of drinks under your skin. Ooh, even when you're not going to teat, you see teat. Marshall, they don't want to talk about sex. They are just doing it. And that's why we're having it here. You're welcome, Miss Rose. Marshall further says, you can have sex with whomever. You can have sex with whomever. Whoever, it's up to each individual. Okay, God, it's up to each individual to protect themselves, because not everyone you're having sex with is going to be honest with you. Which is why I said you got to have the real conversations. And I don't think honesty is that's a rare gem now. Jim, sometimes it's the preachers doing the busy work, and what revelations that is in. Jim, we were all young once upon a time, and our minds and the way we think as adults for most of us changes. You're quite right. And we do mature after a certain age. But sometimes when we mature, it takes illness, or as the caller alluded to, look at what happened to him, you know. So yeah, I just hope that the message that I'm hoping to have delivered here today gets across. Jim further says sex education is all about the delivery and who's delivering it. The individuals who's speaking on it, has to be educated themselves. Quite right. And like we said, you can tailor it based on your audience. Jim further states, when and where I went to school, sex education was a mandatory class we all had to take. I remember, Jim, when I was in school, Marshall, I think you could remember this. I think I was in middle school. We were talking about dental hygiene. And I can remember in homeroom that the dentist would come and they would give out the little Colgate things. You would get a nice little toothbrush and they would tell you how to brush your teeth and not doing the sideways. And for the bottom teeth, you go up. For the top teeth, you go down the back. And then for your tongue, you stick it out and you clean that as well and the roof of your mouth. That was then. I think just how you speak about oral care, you need to have sex education as well. So it's not like they didn't used to do it. And this is why I'm a proud advocate for getting that level of public health back into the schools. So I want to thank the callers. I want to thank you all for commenting on Facebook and keep them coming, 936-8255, because I want to now get real. And there are myths everywhere. And in our culture, they often speak louder than facts. Now, we know that. We know that you want to hear foolishness, that will go off like wildfire. And I'm hoping, based on the myths surrounding HPV, it's time to just bust most of the most common misconceptions about HPV and sexual health. So please bear with me. I will put some of the myth busting up here just for context. And so you can follow along with me as I go. Now, HPV, one of the myths is that HPV only affects women. That's false. HPV is carried by men. Men are carriers and victims as well. So men are not just carrying this virus, they can also be victims based on their partners. Let's say they're with a female who doesn't know that she's a carrier. They can be a victim and vice versa. But mostly they are the carriers, okay? Vaccine causes infertility. That's false. Talking about HPV promotes promiscuity. That is wrong. Actually, it promotes health and responsibility. If you only need to take the vaccine, again, another myth is that you only need to take the vaccine if you're sexually active. Nope. The best protection is before exposure. Okay? And HPV isn't a problem here. Meaning, if you have the mindset that it's not a problem, guess what? Silent doesn't mean safety. Not talking about it doesn't mean safety either. Being silent about it doesn't mean safety. And, there's no scientific evidence that supports that vaccines or this vaccines will cause infertility. What can actually happen is that getting this virus could lead to not only infertility, but it could lead to reproductive cancers that you're not only not be able to bring children into the world, but you may actually have to just have everything removed. And some of the barriers is identified here because of just how our society is made up, is religious beliefs, gender norms, and as we've identified here this evening, lack of school-based education. So I am hoping that we choose truth this evening Just be factual about it. Just choose truth over tradition. And to be honest with you, because lives are at stake, being honest can save a relationship. Limiting your partners can save your life. You don't need to do this marathon. You ain't got done it. It ain't nothing wrong with committing to one partner. Ain't nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. I hope that the facts that you have heard here with these myths, will actually answer a lot of the questions that you may have been holding on to and reflect on what it means for our very own community. So there is no truth because there's no scientific evidence that the vaccine causes infertility and that HPV only affects females. No, men are carriers and they are victim too, which means both are affected. And that if you're not having sex, that you don't need the vaccine. You need the vaccine because it is best protection before being exposed to the virus. So you have the conversation with your children, and let's say you prove that they've not been sexually active yet. Now's the time. From 9 years old can get this vaccine. And that is why there is a campaign, I can call it almost a silent campaign. I'm hoping they find their voice very soon. But there is a HPV vaccine campaign that's ongoing. And I'm hoping that you can, after this, that you either go and speak to your doctor. I encourage parents to talk to their kids, and that there will be more education in our community that would support these local initiatives. So again, I can only ask for you to choose truth over tradition and what we need to do as a community as a whole to be honest, because we are not too small to care, and no one should live with that whole stigma of feeling embarrassed or anything. And I gotta be honest with you, it speaks a lot about our community and the level of public health that we have here in the Cayman Islands when you can actually walk in to your public health in your public hospital and you are able to get this pretty much free of charge because it is a public health program that we're doing. Now, some of the other questions that were asked or that's in the public's domain, can HPV go away on its own? And simple question to the low risk is yes, most cases resolve naturally, but that is not for you to just rest on your laurels and not get vaccinated. We have repeated it here. The best thing is protect yourself. And some people will say, is it too late? Or they may ask, well, I've had multiple partners, I have had kids, da 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 da. Is it too late for me to get vaccinated? No. Up to age 45 in Cayman, you can get it. And I'm quite sure for more information, if you're, let's say, over 45, you can speak to your doctor in more detail in regards to that. And I will encourage you, or you may be saying, well, Miss Sabrina, how do I even talk to my kids about this topic? It's not like it is something that we sit down in the home and talk about. You may be very traditional. You don't engage in certain level of conversation with your children because that's just not the culture of your home. I will humbly encourage you, if you can't have it yourself, just take them to the pediatrician based on the age. Take them to someone who knows or that you're comfortable with. And if you're even wanting to engage in the conversation, lead with care. Make sure that you can be open. Make sure that you create a space that is comfortable, that they don't feel as though you're on to them. Like I wouldn't just go up to my kids if I had to have the conversation with them. I would never just, Christopher, come here. You having sex? It's your approach. First of all, your tone, because you're angry, you're probably uncomfortable having the conversation. It's your approach. If you're out on a fishing trip, or let's say you're going fishing, or you're going walking, or you're just doing little things around the house, or when last did you throw yourself across the bed with your son or daughter, and to have that parent bonding time? These are some of the moments that you can actually break the ice and start the conversation. I'm not saying go headfirst in and just outright roll out this head blown, full on strong conversation. Do it in stages. Maybe you're on the way to school, or you're taking them to something, an event or something. But usually the comforts of your home is the best place. And if they look at you weird, like, what are you asking me that for? Don't judge that response. Don't judge that response. Because if they're not accustomed to you having that level of conversation with them, you may actually throw them off. So you want to, time and place is key, to be honest. But you don't want to scare the bejeebers out of them if sex is not, or sex education, personal grooming, how you take care of yourself, your body, that sort of stuff is not a topic that you are comfortable or accustomed to having. And they give you the look like, what are you thinking? Just because I'm talking to Jim, or just because I'm talking to Jane, you ask me these questions now? No, it's your approach. And there's nothing wrong with you as a parent explaining why. Just tell them you're just hearing more about this HPV virus. It's something that, you're trying to protect them, and whether or not they're hearing about it in school. And if they are hearing about it in school, how much have they understood about it? Is there something that you and them want to go through until you feel it's comfortable? You may want to ask the question, have you explored? Are you going or having any feelings that makes you attracted to somebody? These are all normal as you develop, as you mature. Hormones go crazy when you're in your early teens. Again, it's all about the approach. So, what do we do with all of this knowledge? And I'm hoping that something sticks with you here on this episode of Sabrina Speak. But what I'm hoping you'll do is that you'll act. I hope that you actually ask the right questions. I hope that you will actually go to your doctor, talk to your doctor. I hope that you will visit your family doctor and see whether or not you can get tested and or get vaccinated. And but what you do, we act. Let's talk about what you do. And us as a nation, what we can do is to turn awareness into impact, and let's get some good outcomes here. So we can get screened. First of all, that's a personal action that you can do. You can get vaccinated. You can have those talks with your partner, with your kids, and your doctor. And like I said, if you're with a partner that communication is hard to have anyhow, understanding that there's some barriers based on cultures. There's some barriers based on maybe language. There's all kind of apps that you can get those translations done. And but the key is to just get started. That's the personal action. Get screened, get vaccinated, talk to your partner, talk to your kids. For more information, you can talk to your doctor. And from the community's perspective, advocate for school-based education. Powers that be, hopefully they're listening. They would advocate for more of this. Support more health fairs and vaccine drives, as is going on right now. And I'm hoping that this will bring some attention to it. And push for male inclusive screening policies. Let's push for that. And where policy and leaderships are concerned, let's encourage our leaders to fund more campaigns in this regard. and don't make decisions that are scared of vote, or it mightn't go well because the large voter base is more Christian, and we can't do that because it may upset some of my voters. No, stop that. Let's encourage our leaders to fund more awareness campaigns and normalize sexual health in the public discourse. Yeah, we need to do more of this. And I am here. I'm fair game. We can do it, because we've come in just this episode of Sabrina Speaks full circle. We have gone from silence to truth. We've gone from stigma to strength. And I want to thank the caller and callers who were able to share their stories with us. And I'm honestly hoping that, there would be some serious takeaways from this episode today, and that we don't hear no more foolishness about it. But I respect those who are against vaccines, period. That's your choice. But my duty is to start the conversation. Based on the statistics that I shared at the beginning of this episode, we will be seeing at least 10 to 15 new cases of cervical cancer every year in the Cayman Islands, of which 40% being that of penile, 40% being vaginal, 90% anal, 70% oral. These are cancers that are attributed to HPV, with more than 60% due to vaccine preventable strains. And even though cervical cancer is among the top cause of death in women, it's most common in women ages 25 to 49, the second most common cancer in that age group after breast cancer. And, at the end of the day, it's underutilized. We're noticing where these HPV vaccines are available, but people are not taking them up. And I am hoping that after this, that we'll see a more increase and uptake in it. If we have to have another episode, like I said, I'm more than willing to delve down into this with the powers that be, if they so choose this platform. But I can assure you this much: any other ones they go on, not gonna be this candid. Because 99% of cervical cancers are caused by HPV. Let me repeat that. 99% of cervical cancers are caused by HPV, of which more than 70% due to vaccine preventable strains of HPV. So this is only possible because we, up to today, have limited public dialogue and education. And I'm hoping that after this show, it is no longer a taboo. It is no longer silent. And our stats are high. We really do not have more numbers on the amount of cancers that are related to HPV. And one of those is because we do not have yet a cancer registry. So we have a job to do. And like I said, from silence to truth, from stigma to strength. And I really hope that, you would have appreciated exactly what I've done here this evening. And the quick facts about it, it's the most common STI globally. Yeah, if you didn't know. HPV is the most common STD globally. And it can cause genital warts and cancers. It's often asymptomatic. And the biggest takeaway here this evening, it affects both males and females. This is not just a female thing. Okay? So as I close here, I'm going to hope and pray that we have a call to action, that it's not just a virus, it's a mirror. It reflects how we treat health, truth, and each other. And right here in our very own home, the Cayman Islands, we are small, but we are mighty, and we are not too small to care. And if we didn't care, we wouldn't make this so easily accessible. So let us speak up. Let us protect our youth. Let us protect ourselves. Let us empower our elders. Let's have the real talk. And let's make HPV prevention part of our public legacy. Because at the end of the day now, silence is not protection. And speaking the truth, that's how we save lives. No foolishness. We just want to make sure that we keep it real at all times. And Richard, just joining us, you should continue a series of sex education program. This is excellent. Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, this is just scratching the surface. I want to do more of these talks. I want to do more as well as it pertains to relationships. And what makes it easier is when I do get persons like yourself who support, who call in, who be a part of the show. But I was motivated to do this. And it does take time because, as I said, I'm not a professional. I'm not a medical doctor, but I ain't fool. And I was a nurse, so I get it. I understand it. I'm not stepping back from when I have a job to do. I'm willing to do it. And it is my honor to do this. And I thank you for your support, to be honest. And I will do more. But I think the true conversations has to be had is with loyalty. We need more loyalty. Mm-hmm. We need more loyalty. We need to start running around and maybe more screening. But Richard, thank you so much for that. I want to thank again in proud sponsorship of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks. It's brought to you in proud partnership with International Lighting. A Caymanian gem celebrating 39 years. So go down there and tell Edward Sabrina sent you. Yes, he's celebrating 39 years of lighting up our lives. And whether you're, again, refreshing your wardrobe or just want a little construction flair, go down to Ed's Plaza. That is 194 North Sound Road. And they are open Monday to Saturday from 9 until 6 p.m. He got some of the prettiest chandeliers. Make me want change chandelier almost with the seasons. But he has a total store just dedicated to chandeliers, to be honest. But for more information, give them a call. That's 345-949-8211 or 345-949-5141. That's 949-5141 or 949-8211. Yeah. So go down there and let's celebrate Edward. And tomorrow night, Cayman Cabana. Yes. Farm to Table continues every Thursday night. And they're going to be having a lot of good stuff down there. Oh, they never disappoint. Luigi, look at that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Jimbo, what do you think about that, Jimmy? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And tell him, Sabrina says, you need to try the LaQuisha Sunset. They're going to give you this big smile. I can assure you. They're going to be, OMG, she strikes again. Sabrina strikes again. But it has indeed been a pleasure. Yeah, I'm going to keep it locked. Barbara G, you're most welcome. You are most welcome. I'm happy that you appreciate it. And like I said, more to come. More to come. And I'm going to be as open, candid, and honest with you coming from an informed space because that's where we help each other. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful evening. God bless. Love you lots. Keep safe. And if you could do it, cover it up.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.